And welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Field War Empires as Persia. Before I forget, let's get that timer started. Well, stopwatch started. Um, we started a war in the last one with Egypt again. We've just been given a quest by our monarch to declare war on either Athens, Persia, or both. Although we've got, what, 30 turns for that? 30 turns for that. So we're probably going to try to finish up the war with Egypt first. I suspect that's only going to take like 10 turns or so. It depends on what I'm trying to go for. And don't know what I'm going to go for until we're actually well embedded in the war at this point. I'm thinking Legacy. If we take more Legacy off of them, we can check to see whether we win by the triple Legacy points sooner rather than later. We have troop movement assignments already, except for you. Do we want to send you by sea? You would arrive in about 4 turns if we sent you by sea. Yeah, let's actually send you by sea to, like, here. We're not going to send you straight to Egypt in case we lose control of the sea. We are apparently having supply issues with the fleet. So when did the fleet do that? This boat... we'll send you around to our Indian Ocean fleet. We did lose the Caspian one because I forgot about it up in the North Caspia. Nope, we have a revolt over there. We'll give you a general and exit the fort. Should resolve that problem. Now we can clear territories. We got a larger warehouse being built there. That's fine. Open building slot. What do we want to put in the building slot? Lots of good options. Trading house is a little tempting. We do have access to the ivory. I believe there are ways to move wild beasts around. The furs and amber are a little bit harder to get, although it's 25 money, which is not bad. It would also give us a 6th commerce building, getting us access to building the paved road, which has its own benefits, which I think is what we're going to go for there. Nothing there. Could maybe do with a better builder's hall, although... yeah, that's probably what we're going to go for, unless I'm going to go for the walls. But no, we'll go to the builder's hall. And then this is the place that's under siege by the bandits. Sailing out of the fort shouldn't be a problem to deal with the bandits. Do you want to build cataphracts where I can build cataphracts? That's an interesting thought process. 10 extra XP to heavy cavalry, which the cataphracts are. But sure. That's maybe not the right territory in that province to put that in, but that'll work. We're going to get everything done in a turn, so on to the next one. Pythia. It's being built there. Ooh, I can never pass that one expansion when it's offered. Have that done in a turn. Oh, we're making a finish here. A little bit more on to food. Open slot there. Fair. 29 money from the fair is not bad. Imports pottery, which isn't a problem. Yeah, we'll go fair. And I can move more onto infrastructure, although we have more than enough. I'm going to get the fair done. Build his guild's fine. Oh, lots to build here. I'm not interested in the stud. It's not an area where we need the free supply from the preserved foodstuffs. Stables to get access to infrastructure or military 2. This is the place where we also build provincial medium cav, so it's not a bad place to build cavalry. Although you'll notice there's no actual bonus for cavalry on staples. I think the manual might imply that it used to be. Although there is on the archery range for archers. This isn't the place where we're building skirmisher cavalry, though, so that expansion's good. Grab training ground when it's offered. Keep that military expertise high. Well, try to keep it from degrading. Maybe high is pushing a little bit on that statement. Prison. If I had a decadence, if I wanted to keep decadence down, prison would be good. It's also good for the loyalty. Although for a tier 3 building, it's a little on the weak side for the loyalty, but it's also a decadence bonus. We're going to pass on it because we just don't need it. We're out of tin range, so we're not going to grab you. I don't need more charcoal, so we'll do clear water. Unless that's a really good orchard, it's not. Irrigation system is tempting. It is 3 food. Granted, it's 3 food with everyone on food, so I should note that. We'll do training ground. Apparently we got enough infrastructure to build everything, although we are technically infrastructure. Well, without moving that one person over, we were infrastructure 0. I'd like to be a little positive. Crafting district, sure. Although it's going to make fishing for certain things harder, but sure, take the 0 slot. Alam. Oh, this is one of the other ones that got the paved road, or did I build this paved road? I think I built this paved road. Perfumery. Without frankincense, without drugs, without amber. The main way to move perfumes around is the upgrade of the Pleasure House, which we haven't been doing because Pleasure House has a decadence effect to it. Although it is probably one of the better tier 1 lines for loyalty. Thinking of doing the Palisade here. Coastal area. We don't need the culture that badly. And we might as well start building up the military expertise line, the Palisade there. And then we'll put a little more infrastructure on to get it done. Or actually, apparently it's already going to get done in a turn anyway because we have so much saved up. Yeah. Next, you'll be fine. Lots of slots here. Quant on the island. Stone cutter. Because of the marble, pretty good. 2 open slots. Decent fare. And then the Preceptor House line is always just good to build up. Although I don't really need the decadence reduction, so it's really come down to, do I need the money? We're going to pass on that fare. It'll come up again, probably. Grab the Preceptor House. Not that we really are that rewarded for having the tier 1s right now. School. Although, Major Harbor is also tempting, Solid Walls is also tempting. But yeah, school. I'm not worried about this area being attacked. This is more worried about it being attacked by walls, and or the harbor would be more tempting. We need conversion here, so temple isn't a bad idea. It's also not coastal, so we're not going to be able to do that on temple. Anchorage is not a bad idea. I do like anchorages like everywhere. This is a walled place. Probably do want the weapon depot here for the extra siege resist. We're going to want to retake that place. We've got the cavalry on the way up to do that. Although I suspect the army is either going to move back towards their territory, it's going to move deeper into mine. If it is deeper into mine, the cav will definitely be the right choice to go chasing after it. Tribunal's tempting. As you can see, it's basically money for decadence reduction. So if you're playing most nations where decadence is a bigger issue, definitely a higher priority. Or take the land expansion because decadence is not an issue here. Again, if decadence was more of an issue for you, Noble Gardens is really good for culture to decadence ratio often. This is 62 culture. If you do like the 10 turn average on the decadence thing, that's like 5 decadence. 62 to 5 is a good ratio. In this situation, I'm very tempted to take it. Yeah, we'll take it. Although it's not going to be super strong here. The other reason you want culture is to get usually up to 15,000 culture for the +3 legacy per territory. We're so close there already that that's not as strong. Ooh, monument. Not a bad monument either. Because we've got lots of other culture bonuses, and I think some countrywide culture bonuses kicking in there. Decent bank with 42 money. You're our main farming area up here. Would want the canals, would want the plantation, less interest in hemp field, not interested in ranch or the Amphora Fabricator. Although the Amphora Fabrica wouldn't be bad here because we're running 100-something food positive, but we're not too desperate for it. I'll do the amphitheater. And then we need silk over here, get us a culture bonus. Get us 1 away from... Oh, no, it won't get us. This is a 0 skill upgrade. So yeah, we'll do the amphitheater here. More culture is not bad. And maybe fish for some loyalty bonuses, because we're a little close. We want to stay over 50. We're not Rome, so we're not trying to desperately stay off like 75. Although, below 75 is again where I start to look for loyalty. Okay, we can't get the amphitheater done in a turn. Nothing to do here, and now we're on to the loose. Not surprising, the territory recently taken from the Egyptians is one of the loose ones. That's all the idols. You've got a marching order, you've got a marching order. At some point we're going to build an army. Probably next turn. Everything goes according to plan. We got to adopt a local administration, although I can't do it on any of the territories we're taking down here. Okay, we're just going to pass the turn. See how the Egyptians respond to our troop movement into Egypt proper. Also, we should have an assault on one of the Egyptian forts. So that is us selling from the fortification there. We outnumber the rebels, so this should be an easy task. Yeah. Managed to get away with no casualties. Okay, so they're marching towards our territory. I don't think the garrison's going to hold here, although this garrison, by the looks of it, is a little bit more likely to inflict some casualties. And then promptly inflict, like, 0, because I said they might. Yeah, okay. And they hit another garrison. I don't think the garrison's going to win here either. It's a little bit annoying because at this point they've destroyed an entire province. That is our cavalry arriving. Hitting the enemy in the arid steppes. Unleash the cavalry charge. 7v6. Minerals about the same. Stalemate. 4v7, that's not going to go very well for us. Although our cavalry did survive. 7v6. They avoid with the skirmishing. 7v4. They evade with skirmishing. 4v2. Oh, that was a deleted enough one that even with the skirmishing going on, they did not survive. You hit the rear guard, which is not prepared to be struck like that. You hit the rear guard. 5v4. So it looks like all our guys are going to survive. Although, not all of them are going to come off happy. And then here's the pursuit phase, which is where cavalry does real good. Persians will win the battle, pretty much nuking most of the enemy formation there, forcing what is technically withdrawal of the enemy further back up into the territory they've taken from us. Here it goes in the city assault. Exhausted most of the garrison, so it should be a decent cakewalk for the Immortals here. And it does appear to be so. Okay, and the next turn we can get out of the marshes where we don't want to be. And then we're kind of looking for the enemy forces at this point. And or storm every fortress that we come across till we find an enemy. Okay, so you took some damage, that's fine. Buy, sell, displace. I'm usually a displacer. Although we're maybe rich enough we could contemplate buying. We'll improve slave rights. We can spend metal, yeah. Okay. You continue chasing them. I suspect they will be completely destroyed on the next turn. And of course we did lose the province there, which is annoying. But we can recover from that pretty quickly. Make sure no one stars in the meantime. There's a fort there, there's a fort there, there's a fort there. I think we're basically going to go for send these guys around the forts one by one, just smashing straight into them. Because the Immortals have that level of attack at this point. Oh, we got a bolster colony, which isn't bad. Oh, I suppose I can adopt a local administration on my own territories, that's fine. Bolster colony, I probably want to place it there, because we've already hit those two places. Getting an extra wall there wouldn't be a bad idea. And then over here, I probably do want to get a full frontline frontage unit. Probably out of close fighters, to be fair, because Immortals are expensive. Close fighters aren't as good, but they're a lot cheaper. So we can get 6 more in a turn. That'll bring us up to 7. Probably want 10 of these guys. We're going to want some flankers, so let's grab some Iranian armored cav here. Let's run 4 and 2 light cav. Something like that, yeah. And then we're going to want, so that's 6 and 7 of you. Let's grab some close fighters from over here. Five plus 6. How many do you actually need? I want like 10? So 6, 7. Actually, I don't need that many. That many. Actually, I suppose I could grab some more armored cav over here. Yeah, let's do that. Got some light for the back line, and then we want some probably provincial archers if we can. And then we'll want like 12 of these? At least 10 of these. We'll grab 10 of these. That'll train in turn. We bring that force together, and these can quickly grab these territories and then go in for reinforcement down in the front down here. So showing off our sort of industrial might of our nation here, just be like, yeah, I want a new army. Build me a new army in a turn. Because we can. I can definitely imagine other nations. The other smaller nations in this map probably can't do that right now. Make a high-tier endgame army in a turn. That's not the easiest thing to do. Yeah, we'll do stables. Contemplating whether or not I want to do stables or not. Capital. So Capital's got lots of good choices. Well, I'd say has lots of good choices. Doesn't hit any of them, but it has them. You can definitely do better than Trading House. You can do better than the Pleasure House because you don't need the loyalty right now. We don't need Mercs here. Got enough manpower. I don't need to save manpower. Woodcutting, no. Actually, where are we in the infrastructure line? Yeah, woodcutting, no. And we've got an Ivory Emporium, although we definitely don't need that here. I think this is where we built the Castrum Elephantine. Which doesn't really mean... Oh, interesting. We don't get elephants. Well, we don't get national elephants. So we built the Castrum Elephantanum, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong. Elephantade. So if we were to get elephants, we'd be able to train them. That's what that's telling us. Right. Yeah, our nation doesn't get elephants because it would show here. Okay, so we only get provincial elephants. That's giving us ivory, so we're not really looking for the Ivory Emporium, which is fine. Wouldn't be worried about the Royal Treasury. That would be nice. There's a couple different culture buildings. We'll probably do the reroll here. And I probably don't need that much infrastructure if we're just building a stable. So yeah, I can save 120. Well, it's actually save 240 because it's the divide by 2 going on there. Still done in a turn? Yeah. Oh, and you've got a reserve of like 270, so you'll finish in a turn anyway. We don't need to build here. Maybe a question of whether we have infrastructure there. Well, we have plenty of infrastructure there to get everyone off the food. Oop, an expansion. Always like that. If you're strapped for infrastructure, land expansion's not super great. Though, land expansion requires you to have 3 infrastructure buildings, so you're usually getting decent infrastructure by the time you get access to it. But yeah, I tend to like it because I tend to have the stuff to make it work. It depends upon if we need to fish in the neighboring territory. I'm going to assume we don't. I'm going to pass on that. Weapons of manufacture. Yeah, I'd rather import it rather than make weapons. Although this is the place where we want equipment to build the cataphracts. So we'll grab it. And then I'll be done in a turn. And then we finish the cataphract, Castrum Cataphractum. So we actually got both types of cataphracts here. We got both the Armenians and the regulars. The regulars don't get more expensive, but they're not as good as the Armenian ones. Regular ones are clumsy. The Armenian ones are clumsy, but they're also mountain men, which sort of partially cancel each other out. Not that you'd usually run cataphracts in the mountains anyway, because there's no cavalry slots, no dedicated cavalry slots in the mountains. Did the elf finish in 2 turns? A dam. That's a decent dam. I think technically, is that a... No, that's flat food. Ooh. Yeah, definitely build the dam if the dam's being offered then. We have access to 2 or 3 commerce at this point, so I'm past the camel shop. Salt House is not bad. Wells isn't bad, but Salt House is better. Okay, the dam is the only thing that's not going to finish in a turn. Quant for health and food when we're not building infrastructure, basically. or Scriptorum, get access to tier 3 culture, and get that culture modifier. I'm going to go access to tier 3 culture and the culture modifier. Let's get enough infrastructure to get this done in a turn. Another 40. Close enough. One build slot there. Probably don't need all that infrastructure to build one slot. Yeah, just a little overkill. Another 50 I can save. Still get it done in a turn. Nothing to build there. 2 open slots there. Your coast, although you're probably too far away to get past the temple modifier. Although, there's our province capital. We do want to import ceramics, although apparently we already are getting it here, for the strap bonus, strappy bonus. The major temple being the main way to move around the ceramics. So, if we were specifically looking for that bonus, we might want to do that, but no, we'll pass on that. Port upgrade. Yeah, port upgrade. Yeah, and this is probably overkill in the infrastructure for that. Yeah. Another... not 50, but like 45 we can take off. There we go. Still get that done in turn. Let's do Wheelmaker. You get access to the bridge. 12% commerce. In this case, making up a little bit for the fact that we can't get the paved road here. So we will pick that up. And of course, that'll make all the commerce buildings look better, because there'll be a bigger commerce modifier. We don't need the loyalty, and it's not very good in this case for making money. But racing track's one of the better loyalty buildings. Better than Ursher right now, though Ursher is their slot. Palisade's tempting. Just to start working up the military expertise here. This is plain, so we get some decent food buildings as well. The orchard and the farm will be decent here. And then you do one of the other like stud value types. We'll do the reroll here, just because I think we can get it to something better. We don't need the circus, although this is another one that's potentially a good moneymaker. Definitely better if you can get Wild Beast. We're out of Wild Beast range. Caravanserai, more commerce bonus than the thing it's upgrading from. It's also 0 slot in this situation, so it's definitely a no-brainer to take. Offensive is not a bad idea. It gives more weapon stockpile, or equipment stockpile, so that we can stockpile this stuff when we're not building troops. Gives us access to more military buildings. Building the military expertise. Not quite enough to get the Caravanserai done in a turn. It's a little bit of a shame. I'm going to do brickworks here, although the monument is tempting, so that we can start fishing for tier 2 infrastructure. Let's go to the Tribune. Don't need the clothing manufacturer, although that is a way to move cloth around. Training ground. Get the military expertise up a bit. I think we're building skirmish calf here. Yeah, it would be skirmish calf here. I'm going to build skirmish calf here. The archery range is not a bad choice. Although I apparently haven't been building skirmish camp here. But we could. We could if we could. Or we could if we wanted to. Ooh, toss up between the large farm and the large warehouse. I'm going to go with the farm here, even though arguably I think the large warehouse is stronger, because we're more likely to roll the large warehouse again. There's only 4 choices in the infrastructure pool at this point. Granted, the large warehouse is the only one of the 4 that I want to build, but there's more choices in the agriculture set. And the large farm has an upgrade, so the sooner I can get it, the sooner I can be rolling for the upgrade. Right, and we do want to upgrade probably to the plantation because it is available in this location, I believe. And that's more than enough infrastructure. Farm upgraded. In fact, we've got so much infrastructure saved if we can just, as long as we're still making some infrastructure after everyone's off of food, or off of infrastructure, we're good. There we go. Quantum will be done next turn. Open slot. Could grab the pleasure mansion, although we're out of range to import the perfumes. If we don't need the loyalty and we can't import the perfumes, it's not worth bothering. Fair, that's a decent fair. Could also do warehouse. Warehouse would give us enough infrastructure buildings. We'd be able to get tier 3s, which are good. Which is the upgrade to the warehouse and the builder's hall, and we'll grab the warehouse. If we're not down the line, that's worth grabbing the warehouse. 2 and 2. Dock upgrade. Want training ground upgrade. Notably, this gives us access to the close fighters. This wouldn't necessarily be a bad place to be training troops, especially if we're going to go to war with the Greeks. Do you already have... oh no, that produces marble. Definitely don't need more marble in the area, and there's ways to move marble around. Probably go to the wall upgrade. We'll finish the turn, so we're going to mess with the infrastructure too much. This is a coastal place where I probably do want a wall, so we'll put the palisade in. That's way overkill for the palisade. Palisade only costs like 25. So we'll swap some guys over to food production. Yeah, we've got net infrastructure here just from buildings that we do it, buildings alone. Even if there wasn't reserve, and I think there's a reserve there as well. Pleasure District. This is the National Wonder. I think we're gonna pass on it. Again, we don't have the perfumes, although we're already paying for the lack that we don't have perfumes, right? So that's not really a net negative. Bigger bonus from wine, bigger bonus. Well, it's 10 money, 10 manpower. Not too bad. It's got a health malice. I'd definitely be taking this if it had legacy, but it doesn't, and we don't really have the stuff to make this super viable. And it's a national wonder, right? That's kind of the problem here. Well, the training district, or the training ground instead. That's more than enough infrastructure to get everything done. On to the next one. Lots to build here. Could go with some loyalty, although we're going to land expansion, so we're going to take that. I don't need the culture right now, so we're going to pass on the monument. We're going to grab the wheelmaker so we can start rolling for regional road and the line expansion. Could use the loyalty here, so it is a little tempting to grab Pleasure House. So I think I'll hold it off because it's a decadence building, and we are probably in range for importing weapons to the Gladiator School. At the Quant. And then I always like the salt house and the smokehouse. '21 culture coming off the scriptorum. And that's actually the percentile. So 10% of what we're making here is 21 apparently. Although I think the building has a little bit of base, because we should begin like 14, so it must have like 7 base. Copper mine. Not a bad building. We're getting a little bit more motion there now that we've got Bolster Colony played a couple times. Definitely do a little bit of loyalty here, and going up the courthouse line isn't a bad way to do that. Oh, what's the provincial recruit here? Iberian archers. Mountain men archers. Ooh. Although a lot of the bonuses from the mountain men don't apply to archers. They apply, or don't apply well to archers. It's all attack defense bonuses. A little bit of the movement. The movement isn't bad. These guys have range attack 8. There's maybe an argument that they would be better than our Sicilian, although the Sicilians here are the same places. Never mind. Or the Sicilians. I was about to say Sicilians. Sicilians. And then we've been all the way around. We've got no idols. I really need to get that province back together, although we'll get that as soon as we attack the Egyptians next turn. Well, over the din turn here. Are the siege going in? We have Hellenic Interloper. We'll go do some interloping. Some money at that problem. Oh, it's not exactly a problem. We'll throw some money at them. Let's like the turn. See how the Egyptians respond. If everything goes according to plan, our cav should run down the Egyptian army in our territory. Oh, that's undesired. Judea took our territory. Is the garrison gonna hold here? I wonder. 5v4. I think the garrison helped. We crippled them so badly, the garrison won a battle. And here goes in the store. Or actually, no, this is a field. Apparently, we hit the Egyptian army. Yeah, I don't think the Immortals are gonna have a problem here. I think we got a field battle there because the reinforcements arrived at the same time that we didn't install. Okay. Proposal for transaction. What do you want? You give me metal and money. I give you some archers. Sure. Egypt's about to propose a deal to us. We'll look at what they're proposing. We probably don't want what they're proposing. You just give us archers. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I'm thinking about humiliating you. Right, so even that's not really enough, and you're already at 0 there, so. Nope. Nope. So, we're just gonna know that. Check treaty. You haven't been thrashed hard enough to give us what we want. State reform. Tempting. So normally on most civilizations I do reform citizen rights here. Because you're usually more worried about your government age. Apparently we're never going to get out of young government at this point. So I'm not going to worry about government age until we're getting closer to glorious. So I'm not worried about reforming citizen rates. Reform the state's going to be lots of weird modifiers, and usually I just ignore that one. So it's usually reform citizen rates here. Although, right now, again, we don't care about a government age, and we do have a lot of foreigners we'd like to not be foreigners. So we're going to do grant citizens to foreigners, major. Building development focus, and put specific priority on Emporium, if any are available. There goes half the treasury. Or, there will go half the treasury. We've postponed virtuous administration, which is fine. We're going to adopt local administration. I thought I just played local administration there. We did. Okay, so I just beginning with our courthouse, which I don't really need. Okay, so I'm a little bit annoyed that our subject was able to take effectively a state off of me. They don't like us enough to be annexed. Okay, fair enough. Oh no, they like it me enough to be annexed. Why? Transaction and relationship's not high enough. Already added. We just ask for their stuff independently. Why don't you just call this a conquest instead? Because it is. I'm paying you to be conquered. Yeah, there. Okay. This would have to be a really heavy bribe. Which we could probably do if we were at peace. Oh yeah, we could probably do that when we're at peace. We'll come back to that when we're done with the Egyptians. I do want them to stop having my territory. Do I think the garrison can handle that? I think the garrison can handle that. Let's get you back down into Egypt. So there's a fort there. It's tempting to send the army after the fort. There's no fort there. There's a fort there. Again, it's tempting to send the army after the fort. Definitely don't want to send our main sort of marching army after unfortified locations, because the Egyptians can just sweep through them. We're going to leave that mostly to the cav. Although that's a nice looking Egyptian army. Let's actually order... Let's order you after that army. Try to get rid of the Egyptian main stack. And you can see the power of focusing on roads here. We can basically go from one end of the Fertile Crescent to the other on our nice roads. That's kind of why I'm focusing on getting roads as much as we can, because that helps get our troops back and forth across the entire country. Okay, so we were able to get rid of the snow leopards. That's good to see. Can't get rid of the volcano. Can I get rid of you with troops? I can get rid of you with troops. Okay. Let's send the army over to deal with that problem. It'll take them a couple turns to get over there, but it'll pay off. This one will be a little bit harder because I'm not sure the mountain guys will actually be strong enough in the plains there. But we'll see in a moment when all these guys are grouping up. You guys are marching south. You're there. You probably want to find your way into port for a slight recovery. Yeah, push you in that port. And the garrison here. Yeah, I think the garrison can handle these guys, so just take to the fort. I think that's early enough in the turn timer that they won't be able to get away. Then you're sailing around. Are you going to get into port this turn? Yeah. And then you can start working your way down the coast. Cool. Okay, going through the territories now. Zero slots is always tempting. I'm less worried about trying to get, like, the bank and mint going. Because I think we've already got a bank Yeah, we already got a bank next door. So we're definitely not too worried about fishing for a bank and mint for gold import. So yeah, we'll do the crafting district, that's going to make it harder to get certain buildings. Capital here. We've definitely hit one of the buildings I want in the capital. Well, kind of, I want it everywhere. Military academies are great. We like quality, leader quality. We like leader force pool. It raises the military expertise ratio, which helps with both of those. The only downside is it costs 12 money and 4 infrastructure. And requires a bunch of military buildings. Got an oasis is here. We can't really get rid of it. It's a food and infrastructure penalties. We really kind of don't want to do food, don't want to do infrastructure here. The health buildings are decent. Like, we'll still probably build the smokehouse and the salt house just because they're good sources of health. But and what it's 30% food penalties. That's not too bad. So farm, if we've got access to it. We don't. We do a farm if we had access to farm. We might have a decent orchard here, in which case we do the orchard. Wheelmaker. I might still do the Wheelmaker Brickworks, so we can get up a regional road. This is the place where you can get paved road, for example. Yeah, we're gonna keep bringing down that line for that logic. Though we'll probably stop as soon as we get the land expansion. And we want to put as much food on infrastructure as we can afford, which is that amount. Dyeing mill is tempting. Although it'd definitely be better if we had, purple in the area. Large walls. We're gonna do land expansion just because it's land expansion. Delicacy shop, honey. The only thing we're missing is dates. So that's pretty good. And this is also a good place for orchard. See, we'll do the delicacy shop, honey. Well, the orchard will come back up again, so I'm not too worried about that. Clear water or large warehouse. I think we're gonna go large warehouse. Watchtower. We do want to get that large warehouse done in a turn if we can. Although that might be an ask. There we go. Yeah, that'll finish in a turn, and then this will be a decent infrastructure gain. In fact, the building is valuable enough it's going to pay itself back in 7 turns in infrastructure. It's going to cost us money, but we're making enough money. We're not too worried about random money upkeeps at this point, as long as they're semi-efficient. Could do the spinning mill wool, and it wouldn't be a bad choice. We're out of the cotton region, so we're never going to be able to get the cotton to come in. Although we don't need the cloth. And there's other ways to move cloth around. So we definitely pass on that building. We are in frankincense range, so it does make sense to grab the basilica, drag the frankincense over here. Yeah, let's grab the frankincense over here. Don't need the conversion rate. We're not coastal. Perfect market. Perfect market. I think we're gonna go to perfect market here. Caravan house. As good as the M4 fabricator without any of the drawbacks of the M4 fabricator. Large warehouse. We're not going to be able to get this one down to 1 turn, I think. But we can get it pretty close. 3 turns. It'll probably speed up a little bit when the caravan house is done. Really looking for regional roads here. This is hill, so we can get it paved. Do we go for the reroll? I think I go for the reroll. And you're gonna get removed, it's just a matter of time. Probably go for that wall upgrade. Although brickworks is tempting. Do the brickworks. Of course, that means we're gonna need more infrastructure to get the brickworks done in a turn. There we go. Blacksmith, we can always try the furnace copperworks over the copper to make it better. That's cool. Nope, we need a little bit more to get the blacksmith done in a turn. Oh, that's actually a little bit more than a little bit more. Although that's enough, yeah. 2 and a 3. Oops. Clicked the wrong thing. School. Palisade's tempting, although I'm gonna go Oration Tribune here for the loyalty bonus. We've already got the copperwork, so other than maybe fishing for the bank and or the coin maker, which of course we need another commerce building for anyway, I'm going to put the crafting district up here, which is going to make it harder to find those, but at the same time, we're maybe not dead set on getting those. Almost perfect market. Again, we can get the live and die somewhat easy. Although this is definitely a place where I could definitely be a whole lot pickier. And there is some argument in being pickier here. I think the commerce port, for example, is +1 trade range. Shipyard would be bad. We've already got the jewelry maker, so we've got copper, or we got silver. If we bring in copper, then the coin maker would be real good. So I think we'll pass on this market. We can definitely get better commerce buildings. Although we're at the point there where we got lots of good choices. So hitting any of the good ones is going to be hard to do. Grabbing the clear water. That'll actually bring us up to 6 health buildings here. Which isn't going to be bad. I suppose that means I can start fishing for the sanitation upgrade here. I suspect this place has as many health buildings as it does, because every once in a while I'll get one of the events where you get a 5% chance per health building to get an extra one. So there's definitely some health buildings there I would not normally build. Well, unless I'm the Greeks. I tend to build health buildings along with the Greeks. We'll grab the armor here. I don't think we need the leather per se. I'm going to get us up to tier 2 military buildings. And more military expertise is definitely not something we'd be opposed to. Land reclamation. Yes, please. Wall upgrade. Might as well upgrade the walls. Working out the military buildings is not a bad idea either way. Although I think it's... rate of the military expertise is based off the military building level or just the raw number of military buildings. Decent large farm. Are we next to a plain? Or your forest? Or granted, the forest is flat enough you can probably build the farm line up. In which case we'd have... No, large farm is not in the list there, so maybe you can't. Yeah, it doesn't look like you can. Okay. Doesn't make a big difference anyway. What's the provincial here? Archers, provincial archers. So yes, let's grab the archery range that we're being offered. This is next to that large farm we're making, so we'll get that grain bonus. That'll be a 23 food building, so definitely very tempting to grab that. Two of the places we get the ceramics from, although I probably wouldn't be too opposed to grabbing the ceramics. I'll loot the granary instead. Could do... We don't need the manpower bonus here. It doesn't provide any loyalty, it doesn't provide any globals. It's a 20 money upkeep because you don't have the herbs. Do the courthouse instead. And the courthouse is finally the breaking point where we're going to need to put some infrastructure in the province to get stuff done. Although, maybe not very much. Yep, that's enough to get everything done. Okay, we've got the siege, although we're sallying to deal with the siege here, so we can pretty much ignore it. Potters or theater. I'm going to do the pottery here. Fair. That's a decent fare, and there's ways to get olive oil there. We'll grab the fare. Salt house. Ooh, tribunal. This is the end of the line, well, almost the end of the line on the courthouse line. I believe technically this is the prerequisite for one of the national buildings. Although we may have built that one already. We've got enough global stuff going. I wouldn't be surprised if we got that built already. This wouldn't be a bad place for guard tower, although hopefully we don't need it. Training ground. Food and infrastructure there. Food infrastructure there. We are definitely building faster here now that we've got the two bolster colonies up. We got one more bolster colony coming in next turn. 2 turns. We're not going to add adopt admin again on our own. Place where we've done it once. 26, 1 open slot. Could do a tannery, although we got one in range. Probably want the regional road that we haven't been offered it. We'll take the solid walls as a sort of a reroll. And then nothing there. What about the idols? Idol loaners. So you probably do want something. We don't get the sale bonus there. Although there's another place that we get fish bonus, which isn't bad. Oh, sure. Grab the fish. And that was the only idol. And that one's going to stay idle until we can buy the stuff off of Judea. And then we already did the regionals. So let's cycle the turn and see how our troops move. Okay, so I was wrong. The Egyptians did manage to disengage from the garrison sallying to meet them, so they've run into a different garrison. Arguably a weaker garrison. So the Egyptians may, in fact, survive this fight. Although they didn't. So that loose Egyptian army has finally been worn to nothing. Egyptians actually hit us before we hit them here. Although I don't think that's enough of a skirmishing force to cause us any real damage. Though, maybe it might keep us pinned. We might not carry an attack this turn. Okay, so the cavalry inbound, or no, we hit the army with the army. Okay, thought the cavalry might hit them instead. And yeah, our main army is full of veterans, has decent cavalry support. Isn't having everything go its way, but most of it's going its way. So we're taking pretty negligible damage and inflicting massive losses. And we're slowly taking ahead of Egypt. After long and arduous negotiations, we have secured a deal with Edom. They still don't like us enough to become a subject. I'm not going to throw money at them to make a subject of them. Buy, sell, displace. I tend to do displace unless I'm real rich and want to buy. I very rarely sell. Like, I gotta be desperate for money to sell. We don't need an emergency levy, so we're going to save that for later. We will sell metal because we're overflowing with metal, taking a metal production penalty. Okay, so you storm the fortress. You're gonna go right down the coast. Although those look like they're fortified. You're fortified, you're fortified, you're fortified. Or maybe I run the other way, because the coast down here isn't fortified. Yeah, let's run down that coast. Oh, because we're getting a movement penalty going through the swamp. Okay. We'll go by sea. We'll get there in a turn. It'll be fine. You've regenerated? Yeah. Okay, so you come down the coast, sweep the coastline. Yeah, sweep the coastline like that. Army came ashore, is mostly intact. You can probably start coming down the coastline as well to pile on there. Okay, we can get that entire army together next turn. At which point it'll probably be... Well, we know it will be big enough to take those two territories over, because it's... Okay, those are pretty meaty garrisons, a 9 and 11, but it'll be full combat stack. Shouldn't have a problem with that. Winston die in service. So before I forget, let's get him signed. Also, we can build a harbor here. Build up the one in Cyprus, so we'll do that. Then let's take a quick check to make sure our armies are walking around with army with generals. You're missing a general. We'll give you the 1-1. We'll check these quickly. General, you have a general. Well, granted, our general quality is a little low at the moment. You don't have a general. This army doesn't have a general, but we'll hold off a bit and giving you one. And you have a general specifically for mountain combat, which makes you real good for what you're going to be doing. Okay, so I think this is a good place to put a part break in. If you're watching on YouTube, there will be another part up tomorrow. Because I don't expect there to be any problems with uploading the current stuff being recorded. We're going to record 2 more parts in this recording session. So I hope you enjoy. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to hang around. There may be ads. I don't necessarily know how to trigger them automatically. I think there's going to be ads every 36 minutes on Twitch. Hopefully that doesn't impact you too much. We'll see how that goes. So, and on other games, I should be able to trigger that. This is not a good game for old tapping out to manually trigger them all on the break. This is also going to be the upcoming midstream tea break. I'm going to go make a cup of tea. I'll be back as soon as that cup of tea is made to record the next part. which is the part up for you tomorrow on YouTube. So until next time, wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.